made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Dr. Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic bootcamp, MoveWell University, the Black Diamond Club, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, Dr. Alok Trivedi, Universal Traction Systems, Vantage Point Marketing, Element Mattresses, Imaging Services, Zinget Solutions, Chiro Thin, Dr. Peter Goldman's Zone School of Healing, and Everest Chiropractic Bootcamp. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 63 of Chiro Hustle. I'm your co-host, Luke Millette. Here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we had the privilege of interviewing the motherlode, Steve Judson. And if you guys want to learn about waking up humans, stay tuned. What is your chiropractic story and what influenced you to become a chiropractor?
Well, it's not an outright amazing story. It was one of those things. I woke up my junior year of college. I was an English major, and a voice in my head said, "You're going to be a chiropractor." Now, my mom had been working part-time for one, and she woke up one day and said, "You're going to be a chiropractor. You're going to be a chiropractor." And honestly, my guidance counselor, when I went to his office to ask him what I needed to do to get into chiropractic school, he threw me out. He literally threw my file in my chest and said, "You will fail. You're not. That's not your strength, science." And long story short, I busted my ass, and I failed a couple times, but I stuck with it because this thing inside of me kept pushing me to do it. And thank God I did, because when I got out, I went to Life, and it was 1994, and on the suggestion of an upperclassman, he told me to go to DE, Dynamic Essentials. And at the end of my first quarter, I went, and this guy got up and started talking about the upper cervical region, started talking about B.J. Palmer, started talking about psychiatric patients, and I realized right then and there why I was meant to be a chiropractor. And I found my mission, which was to revive Clearview Sanitarium.
And how old were you when this revelation came to you?
So college, I guess I was 23 or so. I was getting end of junior year. So, I was almost done with college, man. I had a big job offer with IBM, making six figures, and I walked away from it, not really knowing what chiropractic was. No one ever told my family about it. And a big part of my story is my older brother, Ronnie, was an Ivy League student, an amazing athlete, had a serious neck injury playing football, and he didn't die physically, but he died spiritually and emotionally, and ended up in a psychiatric hospital where I just grew accustomed to visiting him. And it was years later that I learned about this in upper cervical, and I knew right there that this could have helped my brother. And it was too late for him because they had put him on so many drugs and medications that fried his brain. But it pissed me off and woke me up that, one, how come chiropractors didn't educate my family and tell us about this? And why wasn't anyone doing this work? There was very few people taking care of people with injuries like this. So it became my mission to master the upper cervical and learn this, and then master the communication to get this out to the public and educate them. And the picture has gotten bigger now that we want to wake up a profession to actually take care of subluxations that chiropractic was designed to do.
So now that you're here, what would you say makes you unique in the chiropractic world?
I do just chiropractic. So what you're finding in chiropractic is you can walk into an office and there's everything under the sun that's not chiropractic that the chiropractor's doing. Doesn't make those things wrong, those modalities wrong, but it confuses the public as to what chiropractic is. I mean, I refer out, we refer to massages, counseling, naturopaths. I mean, all the stuff's great, but it's not chiropractic. And if chiropractors have to get strong and communicate 100% of the time the power of the human body to heal itself when subluxation is removed and mental impulse is restored, what does that mean to the human being? That is the forefront of healthcare, is removing subluxation. All the other stuff, I could have my 12-year-old daughter sell essential oils, right? Doesn't make her a doctor, doesn't make essential oils worse. It could help people, it could make the house smell nice and non-toxic, but I don't think a chiropractor should be spending his time running classes and educating people on that when we could be talking about subluxation, because, guys, on this message right now, does our public really understand what chiropractic is?
They don't.
Why?
Well, I think it's been just like you've discussed with us just recently, is people have lost their way. They cling to pillows, they cling to supplements, they cling to weight loss, they cling to everything to make that buck, and they leave chiropractic in the broom closet.
Amen, brother. So it doesn't make them bad people. And I think part of the clinging to those things, like you said, is to make a buck. And if you got someone who comes out of school and they're 6 figures in debt and they don't have a passion and a purpose and a mission for what they're going to do for humanity with chiropractic, they go out there and they think they're just going to put a sign up and people are going to come flooding in. And the problem is it's harder for them now because people don't know what chiropractic is. You know, they're thinking, I'll go to physical therapy and get what a chiropractor does. I'll go to my massage therapist. They're going to rub me out, crack my back, and they're going to also put an oil on my back. I'll just go to them, you know. And it's harder to educate the people on chiropractic because there's less and less chiropractors talking pure chiropractic. So the thing that has to happen, the space I'm in now is how can we reach out to these chiropractors to not only learn how to masterfully communicate the principle of chiropractic to humanity, but understand the adjustment themselves and become a master adjuster. And there's a lot of people teaching that now that they can learn from. And foremost, why are they a chiropractor? You know, is it by chance they were a chiropractor, or is the mission and the purpose much bigger than they've discovered yet?
Now, you're also a very notable public speaker and author, right?
Thank you.
I would say that makes you pretty unique. How long have you been a speaker?
Good question, man. Probably since 2002, 3.
And how many events would you say you've had the privilege of speaking at?
What are we in 2018? I don't know, 300-400.
So, do you have any favorite mantras, quotes, or words of wisdom that keep your momentum going, that keep you fired up?
I have 3 things that keep me grounded to myself is live with passion, live clear. So the key is to have pure passion that fires you up every day to go serve. And living clear is keeping that atlas clear so your body could sustain that. Love life and life will love you back. We gotta respect what's around us, what's within us all the time, and you'll create the world you want. And sometimes love is the left hook. You know, it doesn't come easy. Sometimes you got to stand firm for what you believe in. You got to speak your truth, whether the person on the other end doesn't like it or not. It may come across a little hurtful in the beginning, but when truth sets in and people get grounded and open up and unravel, you're actually helping them in the long run. You know, you're creating a space for growth.
I love it. So tell us a little bit about your books, if you don't mind. How many books have you written?
So I've written 2 books, and I've co-authored a couple other books. David Shiner's new book that's out. Gil LaMarche has written a couple that I've helped with. But my 2 books are Wake Up Humans, hence this baby right here, which the intention behind Wake Up Humans was to bring our chiropractic message out to the lay people. So now, traveling around and speaking at all these chiropractic events, it's amazing to listen to the chiropractors wake up and get the message and serve more people. But I also realize some of them have a hard time communicating to the patient. So the book is an avenue for the lay person to get this book. It's raw, unadulterated, chiropractic, philosophy, some of my life stories, things that I always talk about to help people understand the principle and realize the importance of getting the atlas checked. I mean, the outcome is we want families to understand, how's your atlas? If their day is off, how's your atlas? They're not feeling well, how's your atlas? If they got a big event coming up to prepare for, how's your atlas? We want to be prepared. And then Atlas adjusted about 3/4 of the way through writing Wake Up Humans. The publisher called me and said, we have another book here, because one of the biggest decisions you make when you're writing a book is who's your audience. And there's a separate audience with Atlas Adjusted, and that's the chiropractic student and the chiropractor himself. And what I'm finding with the chiropractors who are reading that, and that book is blowing up, and I had no intention of this book at all, to be honest with you. is the guys that have been practiced 10, 15 years who have been struggling, lost, just off purpose, not knowing what a purpose is. They're reading that book and it's putting them on a path, which is really, really cool to hear. Like, I love hearing that. So books are doing well, man. I mean, it's, you know, God is good, man. It's happening as it should.
Yeah, I knew Wake Up Humans had to be something special when I walked by Billy DeMoss's table and it was just sitting right there. So I knew if he's reading it, that has to be something I should probably check out too.
Amen.
So what do you think the world would look like if more people picked up copies of your book and started educating themselves?
It's going to create a paradigm shift in our healthcare system. You know, I've got a bunch of towns now that want me to start coming out and doing talks, and their big paradigm is wellness. You know, hospitals are called, you know, wellness hospitals now. Then the people's mindset is shut off to what true health and expression of life is. And when you line up chiropractic families where, you know, my 5 kids have been adjusted since birth and they're state and national athletes, they're fired up for life, they're pure, and they've never had a drug in their body. So when people in America starts waking up to this principle, it is going to destroy a lot of these illnesses, these fears, these anxieties that people are living with, of the unknown of what's happening to them when they understand that their body is freaking amazing and will heal itself and they can live with passion when they live clear.
All right, now it's time for the stinger. Where do you see chiropractic in 20 years?
It's an open-ended question, man. So there's a big fight now with chiropractic, right? And I think one of the blessings in is when you look deep within the student movement that's taking place right now is we have a lot of young, fired up students that are really eager to learn the principles and philosophy of chiropractic. And you also have the students that are really into the art of learning the adjustment of chiropractic. And there's a lot of new upper cervical teachers now. You got guys like Ian Tremaine, the full spine like Brett Jones. You know, you've got these guys that are out there teaching it now, which is making it accessible, but the students are grabbing onto it. And when they master and have the respect for the art of chiropractic and understand the philosophy, they're going to go out there and educate the public on chiropractic. So the goal is for that to happen and to keep that movement growing and happening so that we can impact families. Now, if we don't do that, in 20 years, chiropractic's going to be mixed in with physical therapy. We'll end up like DOs who, you know, sold out to the medical profession because they wanted to be something, and no one really knows what a DO is anymore. And they were doing wonderful things back in the day. They probably are now, but they're part of the mainstream paradigm of what's making people sick and killing them. So if chiropractic isn't careful, and our leadership has to get congruent 100% with what chiropractic is and speaking just chiropractic. If we don't do that, we're going to end up like the osteopaths. Glorified therapists answering to the AMA. But we cannot let that happen.
Well, this turns a corner back to me now. And I think I kind of threw up in my mouth the other day. I was going through and accepting people onto my LinkedIn account. And I saw that people are glorifying their LinkedIn accounts with this title of chiropractic medicine. What the hell is that?
It's a joke, dude. It's just, you know, it's individuals with low self-esteem and they've been castrated to they want to feel significant. So they feel by throwing the word medicine at the end of it, it makes them more significant. And it really doesn't. It just dilutes them. It dilutes them. And they're the people that are going to get out, and the public's not going to understand them. And they're going to have to try to be a jack of all trades to just make a buck, and they're going to get lost in the shuffle. They live with immense amount of stress. The lifestyle struggles. I mean, I feel bad for those guys. But, you know, it's just lack of, you know, individuals looking for significance and trying to be significant, man. There's no greater struggle. You know, life is very uncertain. You don't know what's going to happen. And if you're constantly trying to create your certainty and be significant, it's too stressful. They can't handle it. So chiropractic medicine is, you know, I don't blame you for throwing up in your mouth, but it's, what are we going to do about it? You know, post on your LinkedIn that chiropractic is not medicine. Get that crap out of here. And let's call them out, and let's create a movement to let's call it chiropractic. I'm not a chiropractic physician. I'm not chiropractic medicine. I'm a darn chiropractor, period. And that's the point we need to get to. But here's the kicker, guys. How, right? You guys have a voice in chiropractic. Make a video about that and how it pissed you off, and it shouldn't be happening now. Are you afraid you're going to piss some of the guys off? Piss them off, because what is it going to do? It's going to be for the greater good, so we can wake up for 20 years from now and say, you know what? We were part of something special. We turned the ship on this thing and changed the paradigm to what chiropractic truly is, or should be. B.J. Palmer talks about us, clearing the sanitariums and the jails and the prisons and all these things. We're not doing it. We're failing. They're adding on to the prisons. They're adding on to the hospitals. People are sicker in the United States. We have one of the highest death rates with the birth rate in our country. It's absolutely unacceptable, and we're missing the boat. We need to speak up and speak the truth of innate healing from above down, inside out, living clear, getting the atlas clear, chiropractic. End of story.
Yeah, you bring up a couple things that I really bang my drum on and get on the megaphone for. And I tell people all the time, I don't know if you knew I did this, but I did over 600 chiropractic screening events in 2.5 years, scheduled in over 2,500 people for their first chiropractic visit, where 70% of those people made the first visit. And I would tell people all the time when I got like palm to palm with them, and I'd say, hey, if I don't tell you the truth about chiropractic today, somebody else will mislead you on drugs or surgery in the future. Why don't you just take the opportunity to come in, meet a doctor that's going to care about you long term and be an advocate for you for the rest of your life?
Dude, you got to say that more. I love it. That's pure. What do you think the result? Your outcome was successful. What do you think was the underlying intention or what you said that made them follow through and walk into that doctor's office?
Well, I told them that they can come in and talk to a doctor about any health concern that they have. We're going to do a full spinal exam on them. At that point, the doctor is going to be able to tell them what they found, how much concern there is, how they can help them. If they build a relationship with them, they think it's a good fit, then they're going to start under care.
And it's about building the relationship, man. That's the mega thing right there. It's, the people that end up sometimes, these doctors' offices, they're buried. They can't handle it and try to manage these people's drugs. I feel bad for these medical doctors now. But to walk into a chiropractor's office where our job's relatively easy, man. It's just to build respect, trust with the patient, know how to clear them out, and then just watch the body unravel and heal itself. How cool is that? We're not healing anything. We're just freeing up the body to heal itself. And we just maintain that relationship of respect, love, and trust, and allow their body to do the healing.
Yeah, that brings me back to another thing. I worked in a clinic for 5.5 years in a CBP clinic, and I would tell people that people come into us because they wind up in poor health, and they think that we're their out. And I would tell people that when you come in and you've been subluxated for so long, that you wind yourself up into a poor health paradigm, and then you expect us to unwind you. And I was like, it's like putting tension on a spring, and when you get so much tension on a spring, what happens? The spring pops and it snaps. And that's why you showed up to our office, and that's why you expect us to create miracles for you and get you out of this mess that you've got into, that you've been waiting 40 years and you haven't been taking care of yourself. And now you come to us and you think we're some miracle workers, and we're going to adjust you 2 times and your life's going to go back to normal.
My man, if we could get you talking more of that to the people, the public, the chiropractors, and teach them those principles. Because how many times these guys, well, what do you say to a person? What are you doing? And it's things like that we connect to the person and help bridge that gap of why chiropractic is important in their life and it's going to add value to their life. We will help transform these chiropractic offices, which will build them up. They'll get so busy they won't have time for anything else but detecting, correcting subluxation, and then watch what happens to our profession. Bro, write a book on that, write about your experience, do some podcasts on that, get in the forefront of teaching the chiropractors how to do this thing, man. And I suggest, maybe you're doing it already, but I suggest make that part of your mission to try to show how to do this. That's one of the biggest things is, people want to learn, how do I close a patient? But a patient doesn't want to be closed. They want to be embraced and led along a way of discovery that they discover this thing and they're never going away. Like, care does not end. You don't sign up for a year, now you're trying to resell them. They're just part of a paradigm that, they start realizing when they have a baby, we don't want our baby to get all coiled up. It makes sense to have that baby checked from birth. The more chiropractic offices that grasp that concept and have certainty with that, we're going to change the entire face of our profession, and we'll have so many offices busy taking care of loving, nurturing families before they're sick, just because it makes sense to live clear. I mean, that's the whole idea of the Wake Up Humans has become a movement. It's become guys across the country now that are giving the books to their people and just trying to educate them from a young age, so we're not, treating them and trying to fix them and they're constantly retracing and uncoiling, like you said. The people that start out young and it becomes part of their paradigm, they're just healthier and life is just better.
Yeah, early on when we made our first film called Chiropractic, the documentary, I told my story about how I hurt myself playing high school football, and nobody ever told me the story about what chiropractic really was. I grew up in Davenport, Iowa, and I hurt my shoulder, and I didn't come from a family of money, and my athletic trainer at Davenport Central told me to go over to Palmer College Chiropractic and get an x-ray on my shoulder because they did discount services for people that weren't wealthy. And I went over there, my mom went over there, and they asked me if they could do x-rays of my spine as well. My mom gave them clearance to do so. And at 16 years old, I started getting adjusted. And in the film, I say, I don't know what it was, but I always felt like I thought clearer, I slept better, I was a better performing athlete when I was adjusted. I don't know what it was about the chiropractic adjustment till I got to be about 30 years old and I actually got the story. And people told me what chiropractic really was at about 30. But I've been getting adjusted from age 16 to 30 and no one ever told me the real story.
So there's three key factors there. You were in Davenport, Iowa, and your family didn't hear about chiropractic until you were 16. Why? 2, your family didn't have a high income. So what if you walked into a clinic that told you, okay, here's your care plan, it's going to be $6,500, and your mom said, listen, man, my son needs help, we can't afford it. Do you feel like they were devaluing chiropractic by making a break for you so that your family could afford it?
I think that what they did is they made one of the greatest chiropractic advocates that will ever live by taking me on as a patient and letting me come in and getting care and getting me under principled adjustments with NUCA care and diversified care. And they put me through, and I actually helped a lot of young chiropractors get their numbers by being a patient over there, and allowed a lot of people to, put their knowledge into me and to, check me, correct me for the vertebral subluxation. And I didn't even know what was going on. But I tell you, Steve, I always felt better when they were adjusting me. And now I've come to realize that there's a new paradigm, which I think you'll like too, is you should have 2 doctors in your life. One to keep you healthy, the chiropractor, and one to save you from dying, the other doctor. And yeah. I think that when we call them primary physicians, we've really, second guessed what chiropractic really is, because chiropractic is primary and everything else is something else. And I think that that's something that will ring true in your heart, because you coming from the DE background, there's a lot of symbiosis in the language I speak to the language that you speak.
Absolutely. And, to be very cliche, B.J. Palmer, you never know how far-reaching something you think, say, or do will change the lives of countless millions tomorrow. God created a space for you to go to get care that was affordable, right? It didn't devalue chiropractic, but it created a chiropractic warrior, is what I'm hearing. And the flip side of that is when you say, I'll appreciate it because of my DE background, what does that mean?
Well, you said that DE keeps everything out of chiropractic that isn't chiropractic.
Right.
And you say you build the dynamic essentials background is built on philosophy and the chiropractic adjustment and keeping people's nervous systems clear.
Correct.
And nothing else is in a DE chiropractor's office. When you come in, you don't see pillows, you don't see electric stim, you don't see supplements, you don't see a weight loss program. You see a chiropractor doing chiropractic.
That's the hope. I wouldn't say that's every DE person. I mean, I'd be lying to you. I mean, if you guys will always point people in the past that had big physical therapy clinics within their office, the ideal is to have, you look at the DE people now, you walk into their offices and follow the chiropractor around, they're adjusting. They're doing nothing else. They will refer out for other things, massage, etc. We don't have a problem with that. Or a naturopath. I just had a discussion with one of my buddies this morning about that. So it doesn't make those things wrong. But the bigger purpose of DE is, the dynamic essential is finding that spirit within, which is what happened to you when you started getting adjusted, is your spirit woke up within you, it healed you, and it created a purpose in your life by opening up clarity that you could see where you were going in your life, which probably never would have happened. So my brother damaged his brainstem and it shut him down. He went from speaking 3 fluent languages, probably was going to be a professional baseball player, 3.76 grade point average in an Ivy League school, to ending up in a psychiatric hospital. So the reverse happened to him. So, the more we sit and talk about other modalities, we're losing the purpose of reaching out and helping people. And if our bottom line is the value of gaining a buck off a person, how many people that are truly sick, a lot of patients that come in my office have been sick for so long, they have nothing. They haven't been able to work. They're at death's doorstep, and we're their last hope. And they come in here, we start adjusting them, and they wake up and they come alive. So, the DE way, the way of life, the way of the principle is, we're not perfect, but we want to connect to that spirit. And we talk about living with lasting purpose, which is giving, loving, and serving out of your own abundance without attachment to the results. So it's not necessarily trying to manage how each person is practicing, but helping them find their spirit and their purpose to serve people and humanity. And when they find that, they get more principled in their life. They get more congruent in their life. They find a bigger purpose. I mean, there's many, many people out there now that are crushing it, doing seminars and teaching adjusting techniques that stood in the hallways as youngins, lost, crying, sad, going through their past, how they've been crushed by life, but then they're allowed a space to heal. And when they heal and they open up and they find their purpose, they go out there and crush it. And there's a lot of them out there, man. And our goal this year is to start bring them back to DE and share their story, share their purpose, man. Slow down their life and their success, which is amazing, and come back home and share that success, because there's many people in the crowd that are hurting, suffering. We've got people coming, they're suicidal, man. They're ready to give up on life. They're going through divorces. They're alcoholics. They're lost, and we got to save them. We got to help them to get found. We got to lift them up, find their purpose, and throw them out there to the world to crush it and save people's lives.
Steve, and that's inside and outside of the profession.
Yeah. Well, that's Wake Up Humans, bro. I'm going outside the profession now. God is pulling me in a whole different direction, which has been really confusing, man, because I got a busy life, and I'm like, what am I doing with this thing? And I got a whiteboard over here now with notes. It's crazy. And I've got a team surrounding me now, where we got to get outside the profession, where we could bring people into the chiropractors' offices, get people to this message to let them know you're not alone, there's help for you. You got to get to a principled chiropractor that's going to clear you out, and it's going to change the entire course of your life. So that's the bigger mission.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Dr. Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic boot camp, MoveWell University, the Black Diamond Club, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, Dr. Alok Trivedi, Universal Traction Systems, Vantage Point Marketing, Element Mattresses, Imaging Services, Zinget Solutions, Chiro Thin, Dr. Peter Goldman's Zone School of Healing, and Everest Chiropractic Boot Camp. Let's hustle. Yeah, I love the certainty, and I love the power behind the just getting cleared. And I think that if more people just knew that chiropractic wasn't something to save them after they got into a hell of a mess with their health, and they just started doing it, and they realized that, I come from Iowa, Steve, and I probably said this 100 times, and people have probably heard it 1,000 times, but I know that people have sold their farm in Iowa to keep a loved one alive. And I say to people, why don't you just take some of that savings and invest in yourself along that path of life so you can enjoy it and have a better quality of life while you're going along and building your wealth, instead of selling the farm to save someone's life when they're at that last stage of their existence.
Amen. Amen. And I never understood how a medical doctor could sit back and watch someone lose their house, sell everything they have to line up for chemo and stuff that kills them anyway. How do you put your head down at night? Can't we we're one of the, apparently one of the wealthiest nations in the world. Can't we just take care of each other? Can't we just help each other? Can't we dictate, there's a sector of the population that we're just going to make it work for? At what point has this become such a big business that we're forgetting each other and our people? And that's the problem. We're going to wake up in 10, 15 years and we've got all these kids with brain damage and they're sick. I mean, who's going to work? Who's going to run the country? These kids are all drugged up in school at a young age, and they've got more. They don't call it mental health anymore. The ICA, they're starting a mental health committee or council. They haven't decided what to call it yet, but they're realizing that you can't call it mental health. It's now behavioral health, because Jay Holder said that it's taken on a whole different paradigm. There's so many other illnesses and things happening with the brain, with ADD and learning disabilities and autism and all these other things. The spectrum has gotten bigger, absolutely bigger. That's sickening. Sickening knowing that we have an answer to prevent a lot of this from happening.
Yeah, Steve, the reason we created the Chiro Hustle podcast and the chiropractic films that we make is to get chiropractic outside the four walls of chiropractic. And It sounds like that's what you're interested in as well by doing the books that you're doing. And it's not like you needed one more job on your plate, right?
No, man.
And that's why I extend my hand to you as well and say, hey, I have my plate full too, but if I can be of a help to you, don't hesitate.
I appreciate it.
So we have a surprise unscripted question we like to ask people sometimes. What do you think is the most important thing to happen to chiropractic in the last 10 years?
Band of Brothers and the stroke movement that took place when the medical profession, they were trying to bash us for strokes and saying that we cause them, and we proved it wrong. And what it did was, around the country, is chiropractors banded together. Dick Santo gave a talk at DE called the Band of Brothers Talk. It's probably one of his most amazing talk he ever gave, and you could find it on chirobandofbrothers.com or .org. It's on there. And he gave a talk that it's time for chiropractors to start taking care of the brother and sister to your left and right. And we have to stand together and fight together. And we were under a huge attack in Connecticut. And there was billboards everywhere. It was on buses. And chiropractors were suffering, man. They were fearful. Our office got busier. Why? Because we had certainty. We knew how to adjust people. And people believed us. The question was, well, is this true about the stroke? And the answer is no. No. And we had to fight. We had to go down to shut our offices down and go down to the Capitol. And there was some big shots coming in, bashing us. Their team had, 4 or 5 attorneys. And this birthed Band of Brothers. It gave us a fight to come together on principle. And there's 45 groups around the country and in other countries now, too, that meet regularly. There's no fee. There's no money exchange. It's just chiropractors getting together and talking philosophy, principle, life, helping each other out, how to run a practice, etc. And it's grown a movement. It's saved practices. It's saved marriages. I'd say that's been a huge. We're going to look back and see all the people in the forefront who stepped up to this whole movement and how this really propelled chiropractic in a whole different direction and really saved its ass.
That's amazing. I'm really happy to hear that. I had no idea.
And I didn't even know who Dick Santo was, man.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of amazing guys, man, that, that back in the day, you always hear of Sigafus, who's one of my biggest mentors, but guys like Dick Santo and Joe Accurso, who was a fireball, man. He said it like it was. He didn't care. If you asked him for an opinion, you were getting an honest opinion. He was a warrior, and he was for the principle. And you went to his office, and it was just hundreds of people walking through that door, and he was doing one thing, checking for subluxation. It was absolutely beautiful.
How do you spell his name?
Accurso? Or Santo?
No, Macurso.
Accurso. He was down in Miami, Florida.
Cool.
And then you got guys like Walter Sanchez, who's a silent warrior. You go in his office, pure chiropractic, hundreds of people a day coming in. He gets up there, you have to listen close, very soft-spoken, but powerful message coming out, pure chiropractic. I mean, these are guys that, I've been very fortunate to be around from day one who have just guided me, and I'm blessed. I wake up, and that's all I know to do. One of my hobbies is real estate. I love real estate, so, I own a huge building, and I rent out rooms, and I've got a couple psychiatric counselors, which is beautiful, because I just say walk across the hall and bring your kid, who's suffering from anxiety, go talk about their stuff, or if they've been raped and things like that, they can go talk to them. But when they come in, I'm sitting there checking for subluxation, adjusting them, and clearing them out, man. We have time for nothing else, but we respect other professions, what they do. Jim, like you said, there's that other doctor that someday is going to be trying to save your life, man, and I hope he's clear. I hope he's connected to the Lord. I hope he's had a good night's sleep, and he keeps that baby pumping so we can just keep moving forward. And your chiropractor's there by your side to get your atlas clear.
Amen, man. So let's talk marketing for a minute. How do you promote your public speaking? How do you promote your books? How do you promote your practice? Do you use social media, traditional, a mix of both?
So we're just starting this. We've never done it before. When I go speak places, I'm not one to go on Facebook and tell people where I'm going next. People are asking me to. It seems to motivate them. I've always had a hard time just kind of putting attention on myself. The book, I kind of was throwing things out on social media and Instagram and such, but it's one of those things that I realize I have to step out of my comfort zone. We have a big message to help change people's lives, and I'm learning. So we have a group now that's come together innately, that's now posting things regularly on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook more specifically. They started a YouTube channel with me. I think I've got 18 followers now. They put topics together. They asked me to make videos because people are watching videos. So we're pumping out videos, which was very uncomfortable for me in the beginning, but now I love it. It's really cool. It's fun. It's cool to see people watch videos and come in to the office and say, hey, I saw your videos, and it made a lot of sense. So I'm a student at this now. I'm really learning. The books, I brought a couple books to Focus. I have yet to go and show up at an event with a bunch of books and try to sell them. I usually tend to just, I think I brought 25 books to Focus, and I sold one. And I got a lunch out of it. I just gave them away. So as far as marketing, it's really, I build relationships. I built my office through relationships, explaining the principle of chiropractic. People see the value in it, and I've got patients who've been coming here for 16 years nonstop. So, yeah.
So would you say you have a favorite social media platform or app to keep you engaged with your audience?
I like Instagram, man. I think that's fun. I like these little stories. My two older daughters are in California right now at a Tony Robbins leadership camp. And I've stayed away from them, little texts back and forth, but I want them to go through their growth and experience without daddy looking over their shoulder. But my one daughter's been doing these stories, and it's the kids she's with, and they're having fun, and it's really cool just to be able to, it's almost like watching their little movie. I think that's cool. I think that's fun, and it's to tap into some friends and people, but also be able to reach. The cool thing is you go in on Instagram and you put something, and you check in at like an airport, and next thing you know, you've got like 30 people following you from like that area. So now there's people you've never met that you're educating on chiropractic and what you do, and I've literally had people say, hey, people buying my book because they've been following things, and we have a lady in Indianapolis who found us on social media. Her son was in a car accident, was in a coma. didn't believe in chiropractic. She got her one of the books, Wake Up Humans. The woman read it in one night, started getting the kid adjusted. The kid's alive, well, woke up, just because I made a post. And I still don't know how that whole thing worked, but to me, it's a way to, again, how do we get this message out there to people? And someone like me who tries to remain humble but has to step it up, man, to try to to save people's lives with this message. And it forces me to be very clear and have clarity onto what the message is. And you got to be sharp with it. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I really love Instagram. It's just fun. But instead of chiropractic, I'm usually educating people on what I had for lunch.
You're the salad guy, having another salad with avocado.
Yeah.
Take a picture of it.
And
are you a chiropractor, bro? What's your background?
Oh, I'm a film major. I help Jim with all the podcasting, filmmaking, commercial production, anything creative and artistic. I'll do it.
I like it.
Yeah, we're a multimedia team. We've been working together for the past 7 years, man.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, you finally catch stride with somebody and you realize that they're good for production and they're good for your reasoning. And we've always come together, and the things I do well, he doesn't do well, and the things he does well, I don't do well. And we've realized that a good partnership can help us plant trees for the future of chiropractic.
I love it, man. Thank you for doing that.
Well, it's the one thing that I could believe in 100%. I got a degree in journalism and marketing back in 2002, and I was geared to be a sports journalist and specifically work in the soccer world, which I played soccer for 22 years, went to college on a soccer scholarship, and
nice.
My future was to be a journalist and cover sports. And I got out there and I did my thing for a while, and I realized that it sucked. And I realized that there was no love in the newsroom, that people didn't appreciate each other, that it was just kind of like if I did something really special and I thought was awesome, it would go to the editor and it wouldn't be my work at the end of the day. So it kind of pissed me off. So I quit. I took the longest lunch break on history and walked off one day, never returned, and started framing houses in the middle of the winter in Davenport, Iowa.
What is this, your 16th year on lunch break?
It's my 16th year on lunch break.
So with your involvement in chiropractic and what you've been doing and all the people you've been talking to, where do you see chiropractic in 10 to 15 years from now?
Well, I think that we have a whole new tribe of people that were rising up, like you said. And to be frank and honest, if anybody gets to this point in the interview on this podcast with us, I'm not interested in the people that have already been, out of school and been made or have lost themselves. I'm interested in the people that are going to be coming out of school. That's why I work so heavily with the student populations. That's why we're going to get a Chiro Hustle chapter at every chiropractic college out there, sharing our content. And eventually I'm going to start training them how to become podcasters from their campus. So I see that this is a part in the chiropractic paradigm where there's never been a more level playing field, if you will, because that's something I heard the old dogs talking about, like, oh, there's not a level playing field. How do we win this one? Well, with social media and these advents of stories and people that can share the message to thousands and millions of people through their posting and through podcasting and through their small videos and their YouTube channels and whatever it might be, their Facebook lives. And I think that right now we're at a very special point where we can take the power back. And
do you feel that these young guys, girls coming out that are going to start these podcasts that you're going to help them do you feel like whatever content they're going to put out can make or break the future of chiropractic? Is the content important?
Well, I think it's cross-pollinating the chiropractic message into their communities around their schools. And I think one day all these schools that have lost their way are going to find chiropractic back on their campus. And I think that the chiropractic students that are going to be sharing our content, they're going to be cross-pollinating our message to their tribes that don't know we exist yet, are going to be like, damn, these guys are producing real chiropractic content. They're talking nonstop, I'm going to start following these guys because they have the biggest, loudest voice in the profession, and they're not chiropractors, so there's not tied to a bias saying that the chiropractor is playing their own instrument and thinking that they're the greatest thing since sliced bread.
I want to invite you guys to DE. I want to get you guys there, the both of you, and I want to introduce you to a good couple hundred people and let you dialogue with them. And I really feel where you guys are going is it's not DE, but it's chiropractic in the message. It's the content. And joking aside, if we have chiropractors that are just taking pictures of their meals and salads and stuff, thank God you're not a chiropractor, bro, so you could get away with it. But if we got chiropractors out there that are constantly educating on chiropractic and the neurology and the nerve system and the important, and we've got thousands doing that across the country, we will change the entire movement. When people can understand structurally what happens when they're subluxated and the devastating effects that can happen on the body, and all our energy and our communication skills are being mastered on that message, which you guys could help do, right? So, DE is just a group of chiropractors, guys. And it's an awesome, loving, fired up group of people that are into chiropractic that I feel like if you go around and start engaging and talking, you're going to be like, man, these guys, you've been a lot of places, guys, bro, whatever. I mean, come and just meet them and find the outcome. And when we start talking content and where we can go with this can be a monster movement that we wake up 10 years from now and sit down and have a meal together and say, holy cow, this is huge.
Yeah, Steve, I welcome the invite, and we will be there.
Sold.
Awesome.
Sold to the guy that takes pictures of his salads.
He can do it though, man. He's an artistic type. I like it.
But that's just it, Steve, is when we start doing this type of work, I wanted to relentlessly put out more content than anybody else on the chiropractic message. I wanted to exhaust the marketplace into submission that I put out so many interviews that people had to wake up and say, who the hell is this Jim Chester guy, and why is he working so hard for the chiropractic message, and he's not even a chiropractor? What's behind him, and why is he driven so hard? Well, it's because I went into that story a little earlier. I was searching for something I could put my love and passion into 100%, that I believed in 100%. And the only thing that I could pare down to believe in 100% was chiropractic.
Amen, bro. It's nothing like it.
And then they say to me, Steve, well, why aren't you a chiropractor? You might want to ask me that too. And I say, well, I'm going to have the effect on thousands, if not millions of people with the work that I'm doing. And if you guys took me off the playing field and put me back into school for 7 years, the chiropractic profession wouldn't prosper the way it's supposed to with my involvement.
Bro, we could funnel hack society to educate them, and now they're just begging for where they can go. I mean, I'm referring chiropractors all over the country. I just had a call. I ended up talking to 7 different offices for a patient who moved to Texas, and I found one that detects and corrects subluxation. And that's okay. I could blow up that person's office, and it's just now we just need more of that. And when people get it, my patients go on vacation, they'll ask me for a number of a chiropractor, and blessed be the whole band of brothers and the movement we've created. We've got people to refer all over the country and even other countries. And, with not everybody needs to be standing over tables adjusting. I mean, imagine the young, you got adjusted and look what's being created as a chiropractic warrior who doesn't have a DC at the end of his name, but he's educating the public. If I got a young kid that goes on to become a pediatrician, and they're referring all the babies to my office now because they love what we've done for their life and their purpose. And then, a kid's coming in to get checked for things in their office, and they're saying, you know what, let's leave this alone, go see Dr. Steve or whoever and get your atlas cleared. I mean, that's pivotal change, man. That's changing the earth on its freaking axis, and that can happen.
Well, Steve, you said something else right there that stirred up another thing that when I'm out there doing my screenings and I'm out there scheduling people in, I tell people, generally speaking, the most reason that people don't go in and do anything for their health on a positive note is because they don't know where to go or who to trust.
Trust.
And then I say, but the good thing is that now you found me and I'm your advocate. and I'm going to help you out, and I'm going to get you in to see this doc that's going to be able to check you and tell you what's going on, and you can build that relationship and see where that takes you.
I love it. We need more of that.
Yeah, I didn't even, honestly, the first 3 chiropractic marketing events I did, screenings or scheduling events as I call them, I scheduled 0 people, man.
What changed?
I had to take some counsel from an older doctor, an older chiropractor, and his name was Paul Lichty, and he practiced down in Mesquite, Texas, and his son was the doc that I was working with out in Centennial, Colorado, Michael Lichty, and we called him up and said, hey, we're really sucking at this stuff. What can we do differently? He's like, well, what are you doing? With his Texan draw. And I was like, well, I'm going out there, I'm enthusiastic, I'm scheduling people, and nobody's showing up. He goes, well, what's the problem? And I was like, well, I get a full schedule of people and they're not making it to their appointments. He's like, well, you got to charge them something. So after I started charging something to people, then people started showing up.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So, after doing 600 of those buggers, now I've built my legacy, and in the future I'll be helping open up offices.
I love it.
So,
All right, Steve, I am following you on Instagram now, so I hope to see a follow back from you.
You got it. What's your tag name or whatever they call it?
Luke Millette, it's just my name.
Beautiful, simple.
All right, so let's talk about just you for a moment. What kind of things do you like to read? What kind of things do you like to listen to feed your brain?
Man, I read a lot. I read a lot of autobiographies. I just went on vacation and I went back to one of my favorite authors, Ernest Hemingway, in The Old Man and the Sea. It was great just to get back to a regular novel. I found myself always reading things to try to improve myself. So, being an English major, there's a lot of novels I read that I really don't remember because I plowed through them and wrote papers. And so I'm going back, Ernest Hemingway, I'm going to go back and try to read every single book he's written. I love poetry. I love Irish poetry. I love music. I love Metallica. Start off every morning with Metallica. I start off every morning with a Tony Robbins podcast. Start off every morning reading Proverbs. I'm pretty well versed with a lot of those things,
Yeah, I'm actually right in the middle of reading Get the Edge by Tony.
Tony's an amazing, amazing human being.
I've never read any of his books before, but I like them so far.
I would recommend going to his Unleash the Power Within event. Where do you live? Grand
Junction, Colorado.
He's got an event coming up in New Jersey in November, which will it's fun. It's great. And then he's got what's called Date with Destiny. If you watch Netflix, it's Tony Robbins, I'm Not Your Guru, is an event he does called Date with Destiny. The Netflix is about an hour and a half. The event you go to is just under a week. Him speaking to you 16 hours a day. It's absolutely insane. So if you like his stuff, I highly recommend it. And I'm going to his business mastery next week, or in 2 weeks.
Awesome. I'll check these out. So before we wrap up today's episode, how can people find your books? How can people book you as a speaker? Where can they find out more about you?
So Wake Up Humans and Atlas Adjusted are on Amazon. So they can just plug in there, buy the book, and I appreciate it if they do. Helps with my kids' college tuition. If you're out of the country, I know I've had to ship some books overseas where they had trouble with Amazon. They just contact me on social media. Facebook is very easy to private message me. I have a couple pages now because I maxed out on one page. So I have, at Dr. Steve Judson, the public image page, fake public page, whatever that is, to connect with me is a very good way to connect. Do that the whole PM. I like doing that. That's easy. They could call me on my cell phone, 860-593-7046, or just text me and say we want to talk. I'll talk to anybody anytime. What what was the other question? Speaking things, just reach out. You know, one of my biggest things with speaking now is I literally run it by my wife because my kids are heavy athletes, busy, so I don't want to miss any of their sporting events. So I've really narrowed it down quite a bit and have to plan it out pretty far in advance so I don't miss my kids growing up, which is one of the biggest things I'm prideful of.
That's awesome, man. Well, is there anything you wanted to talk about we didn't get a chance to ask you?
No, man, I think you guys crushed it. I really enjoyed speaking with you guys. This was nice.
Well, we're on fire for the principal, man, and I appreciate you taking some time with us and giving us some of your raw emotion and the truth behind why you do what you do.
You got it, man. Keep it clean and unsullied, and I'll be watching.
Yeah, and listen, I don't want to do a self-plug here or anything, but if you haven't seen our movie, we're going to have to get you a copy of that.
What was that called?
Chiropractic, the documentary.
Okay, I'd love to see that.
And our follow-up film is about to be released called Project Patient.
Huh. Awesome.
Yeah, we're hoping to wrap up a trilogy.
Nice.
All right, Steve, well, thank you so much for being our guest today. I know this was a really good one for us.
You know, I did a video the other day, and I made a mistake of saying you could find my book on Netflix. So maybe the end of the trilogy is Wake Up Humans, and we put it on Netflix.
Let's rock it, brother.
All right, guys. I appreciate you.
Yeah, have a good day, brother.
God bless you.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.